As we've gotten a bit further from Borderlands 3's reveal trailer, I've been starting to notice some parallels to Star Wars Battlefront 2's launch that concerns me a bit. So first, let me go over the giant fiasco that was the launch of Battlefront 2 briefly. After absurdly good-looking reveal and launch trailers for this game that validated that DICE and EA were giving fans exactly what they wanted with new eras and more heroes, the community was hyped big time. What happened next was the real downfall of the launch. And I say downfall of the launch because DICE actually completely turned this game around and made it fantastic now. There were concerns coming out of the beta of microtransactions being too big of a part in this game. Obviously, it ended up that the base game progression was greatly influenced by this in terms of loot boxes. Naturally, that pissed a lot of people off, and even left some people overreacting and trying to make the loot boxes illegal. It's still up into the air as to whether the loot boxes themselves or EA's response to the fans' reaction was worse. EA essentially responded with a spiel of pride and accomplishment being the product of their shit show. They really showed no responsiveness to the fans at first, and it drastically damaged the game upon launch. Now, I actually played this game at launch and still occasionally dabble in it now, and personally felt like the outrage was over the top, but warranted. Now, these are somewhat similar parallels to Borderlands, although I would argue that Borderlands is way more anticipated and has more expectations going into it, as it has already produced a game of Borderlands 2's caliber. We saw a teaser and a launch trailer, and with the exclusion of no-name journalists who don't know what they are talking about, everyone has loved what they are broadcasting about the game so far. We are seeing new badass characters with the combination of mashing all characters from all games of the series in there. They've showed us brief descriptions of the new gun effects and have even released texture update to old games to get us all hyped. The one problem with all of this to me is that they are not being responsive at all to their fan base about the concerns they have about Borderlands 3. Now, I'm not going to say at all, because Randy did come out and give Battle Royale the boot that it deserved, but the radio silence on Epic Games Store is not good. Now, say what you will about the Epic Games Store, I really don't know much about it, and to be honest, I'll be buying the game on whatever platform I can get my hands on, but it is clearly a problem that you shouldn't just blatantly ignore. There's a reason why the reveal trailer has relatively no dislikes, whereas the announced trailer, which is the one showcasing Epic Games, has about a 60-40 like-dislike ratio. Now, what was the response to the dislikes of this announced trailer? Nothing. Complete radio silence. So naturally, fans try to get Gearbox or 2K's attention by being obnoxious and disliking all of Borderlands games on Steam. Definitely childlike, but it finally got a response out of Randy Pitchford, of which basically pointed to this as a reason as to why moving away from Steam was not a bad thing, while completely ignoring any negatives anyone has put forward about Epic. Basically, at the beginning of this fiasco, Randy began by pointing his finger at 2K, saying he might use all of his leverage to get it on Steam if Gabe announces Half-Life 3. Which is basically like saying, I'll respond to the community the way they want when hell freezes over in my eyes. But at least he started off by saying that it was out of his control, and he disagrees with it. Which, I believe, exactly zero. But his responses have gotten worse and worse over time, which I can't tell if I hate them or 2K's silence more. He's basically turned into the Twitter version of Owen Benjamin by biting the hands of fans that feed him, by just either blocking anyone who annoys him, or just being all around hostile to his fan base. Now, it took him a while, but he finally actually responded to all of the criticism that fans have been shooting at him. He now seems to be backing 2K's decision to go with Epic Games. I love a good 180 in ideological perspectives. The big part of his argument is absolutely awful to me. He acknowledges that Steam has much better features himself, and his biggest argument for why Epic is a good idea is that Epic has a roadmap and that Borderlands 3 will force Epic to adhere to the standards of fans because it is such a huge selling point. The way I see this is that Gearbox isn't listening to their fans that are going to buy their game. So why would Epic be any different and responsive to the fans? Also, why should we hold a gaming platform to a different standard than any game by itself? It's a good thing that I brought forward Star Wars Battlefront games, because you can see the outrage that happens when a game isn't fully developed by the time it comes out. Why should the incompletion of Epic, by your own words, be any different? So let me circle back around to why I brought up Star Wars Battlefront 2 in the first place. Star Wars Battlefront had the same response to its release. DICE blamed EA for the issues plaguing the game and the initial backlash, and EA demonized the fans who disagreed. The thing is, DICE learned from their mistakes and have what I consider to be one of the most responsive communities I've seen to date. They fixed all of the problems with the system they had set in place and have brought on two of the best community leads, Ben Walk and Dennis Braunwell. These guys respond to negative criticism very well and have completely turned around what was a fustercluck into a really great game with awesome additions of new characters, maps, game types, and events to this game. I bring all of this up because the point between now and when Borderlands 3 releases is critical for Gearbox if they want to have a successful release, and if they continue down the pathway that Randy is paving, then I am concerned. Now you could say that these are totally different circumstances. Star Wars Battlefront's downfall was microtransactions, whereas Borderlands 3 could possibly be a problem for only PC players. To which my response would be, are you so certain? Randy has repeatedly said that he is against microtransactions, but am I really supposed to trust the word of a CEO of a company that is hiding behind 2K for most of his problems and blocking criticism that comes his way? Because I don't. Borderlands has recently showcased its Insider VIP program, where you can do certain things like watch videos, read articles, and link social media accounts in attempts to get golden keys for the games. Is it really a stretch to assume that this could easily devolve into paying for golden keys over time? Because I see literally no other direction it could possibly go. If Randy is willing to stand up to 2K as much as DICE originally was, I wouldn't be too shocked to see a more heavily implemented system of golden keys. I've got to say, I'm still going to buy Borderlands 3, but if Gearbox doesn't start being more responsive, this game could be complete deja vu for me in parallels with Star Wars Battlefront 2. I won't be getting my hopes up for this one personally. Anyways, remember to dislike, unsub, pre-order Borderlands 3 on Epic, and I won't see you in the next one.